I'm here at the Soup Ferry on Bowen Island with Frank Pat. My name's Tim Rhodes and I'm a realtor with Angel Assman on Bowen Island. Good afternoon, Frank.
Good afternoon.
The first two questions are, how did you get here and why did you stay?
Well, I got here on a sailboat 27 years ago. My partner and I bought a sailboat to live on. Pardon me, and when we got the charts and I saw Snug Cove, it's one of the first places we came. We would come every weekend because it only took us like 3 hours to get from the city. And it reminded me a lot of home. I grew up in a small town in the Kootenays, Rossland, and at the time, the population of Bowen was about the same as my hometown when I left. And just smelling wood smoke, it was an easy to commute to the city, and then I stayed.
Yeah. So what appeals to you, besides reminding you of your hometown and perhaps your youth?
I think the huge sense of community really speaks to me the most. I had an office on Granville Island for a whole bunch of years, and I went to the same coffee store every day and was asked what I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, here I went to the oven door, forgot my wallet, and got a tab. You know, it's those little things that sort of spoke to me right away.
Yeah. Are you regular at the
Oh,
Soup
yeah,
Ferry?
yeah. I've got a 95-year-old in the car here that loves Frank's soup there. You're
One wonton.
wonton. You're very perceptive. Thank you, Frank. I love the wonton this week.
Yeah. There's a lot of, there's a staggering amount of regular customers. Some of them only have eaten the pork and shrimp wonton. If I don't have it, I should just move off Bowen because it's become a thing.
So what would you say then that your favorite place on Bowen is?
Favorite place on Bowen? Probably still is the golf course because I worked there for over a decade, and it's to me one of the most beautiful places on Bowen.
Yeah.
I'd never had an outdoor job before. I've always worked in offices and restaurants. So for me to get on a lawnmower and cut grass and then find art in grass was amazing. And then I evolved through the food and beverage department, and then this started, and
Yes, well,
here I am 2 years later making soup for a living.
and that's the story, is just exactly how did all this start?
Well, my job at the golf course was seasonal, so I only worked 6 months of the year. And then usually I would go away for 4 or 5 months, and my family never got to see me at holidays. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, I was always away. So I decided to stay home one winter, and I got bored quickly, and the clubhouse kitchen was sitting empty. And so I asked them if I could just experiment with this to see how it went. I was open Saturdays and Sundays from 11 until 3, and I sold a staggering amount of soup.
Huh?
So I did that for 2 winters.
And this would be off season when there really wasn't a lot of
Yeah,
traffic.
when the population of Bowen is at its lowest,
Yeah.
out at the golf course is the furthest away from anywhere. And I would sell 200 or 300 liters of soup in a weekend.
Well, how did you get into preparing soup? Have you?
I've always loved soup, always. I'm surprised because when I grew up we were pretty poor and we lived on soup, and I vowed that I would never eat it again. And then I made a batch of like broccoli and cheese or beef barley or something and found a new love for it again. And I just started doing it.
So did you basically learn from the people who cooked for you as you were growing up, or?
I mostly just Frankified recipes that I found on Pinterest and the interweb, really. Yeah, there's a ton of foodie websites. And I don't like to follow recipes exactly, so they're all Frankified somewhat.
Well, they seem to be very, very popular. Although I understand you're a bit slow in the summer.
Yeah, the summertime, Yeah, it's definitely not soup season. We're coming up on it again right away. I tried to switch gears in the summer and do things like tacos, which started out really well, but the last 2 years, it's like, I don't know if this is our new normal. It was like January,
Yeah.
and then somebody flicked the switch, and it was so hot, and then the world caught fire, and it was so smoky, and I personally found myself eating a grilled something in a salad at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Mhm.
very long and warm.
Yeah.
What has surprised you the most about starting your own business?
How much people love soup. I had an idea, but I had no idea at all. I'm about to be celebrating my 2nd year anniversary on the 2nd of November,
Wow.
and I've sold 13,000 of these containers of soup in 2
Wow.
years.
On a little island with 4,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
Like I say, I had an idea, but I had no idea. So it seems to be working.
I know you started out at the golf course, and how did you end up here? You're sharing space here with the Village Baker
well,
Cafe.
Neil, when I was doing the soup in the wintertime at the golf course, Neil would always make me a 10-kilo dough ball on Friday nights. So I would come here on Friday just as he was closing at 3 o'clock and get my dough ball and do my thing on the weekends. And when I started to realize that I was on to something, Neil and I started talking because there's very limited space, retail space, commercial space
Yeah.
in Little Island Cove. They close at 3. And I thought, well, there's a lot of hours left in the day to do some trade.
Mhm.
So we agreed, and I moved in and scared all of us because I had no idea what was going to happen. But it quickly showed that it was just win-win-win. It was win for the people of Bowen Island, didn't have to drive out to the golf course. And it was a win for me to be able to share the space with Neil and to share all the utilities and, costs
Yeah.
and most everything.
So you saw sales pick up moving in here?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I would think dramatically from the ferry
Yeah.
unloading. And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, because I was only open Saturdays and Sundays out there from 11 until 3. That was it was just really limiting, So here, being open 5 days a week, and then I've learned a lot too that, there's a lot of people on Bowen that don't drive,
yeah,
so going out to the golf course wasn't an option for them.
they had
So-
no idea.
I got to see a lot of new faces as soon as I opened up. I mean, I knew a lot of these people. I'd seen them before, but didn't really know them because the golf course demographic is a little bit different.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I have a fiercely loyal clientele.
Wonderful. Now, I do have to ask where the name came from.
The Soup Fairy, oh my God. This happened at the Legion. My dear friend Jennifer Lobley, this is where I started selling it, before I started selling it at the golf course.
Oh, yeah?
On Thursday nights, I would make a vegan and gluten-free batch of soup and a meat one and 8 loaves of bread. I'd go up to the Legion on Thursday nights, play shuffleboard, have some beers, and the boxes would empty and a pile of money appeared. So I needed to be called something, and everybody, because it's soup, referred to the soup Nazi from Seinfeld,
Yeah.
which I wasn't a fan of, nor did I want to be associated with it. And then my friend Jennifer, innocently from behind the bar, said, "What about the Soup Fairy?" And everybody burst out laughing.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, we're on to something. And then at the last municipal election, when there was all candidates meetings,
Right.
I met Darren Thompson, who's a local artist, and he's a graphic guy. And I said, I need a logo. I don't have any money, but I need a logo. And so we became friends on Facebook. He made 9 different caricatures of my face. I passed them around to everybody. Everybody liked number 4. So that's what we have there, number 4. And then I said, okay, let's have fun with his body. Let's not go too crazy or
Yeah.
too gay with it, but let's have some fun with it. And the little dude was born. And it's amazing. You see people walk by and they either burst out laughing
Yeah.
or just point and smile. Yeah.
So what do your customers probably not know about your business?
Do not know?
You've probably told them everything.
Well, I think if you had have asked me even 5 years ago that I wouldn't be working at the golf course, that I would be here sharing the space with Neil, making soup for a living, I would have probably laughed. But it just sort of evolved, and it just sort of became what it is, and it's growing a little bit. I'm being considered now to supply Stong's grocery store in the city, as well as
Wow.
farm to table.
Wow.
So I just have to do a few things with these. They have to go to a lab and be tested, and then I'll get a nutritional label and a barcode, and then I can sell them anywhere.
So are you able to cook them here in the village?
Because
bakery?
this is a certified kitchen by
Right.
Vancouver Coastal Health Authority. Yeah, so I can produce everything here.
So you're up late at night usually?
Yes.
Stirring? Slicing?
No, the cooking
Dicing?
part actually goes fairly quickly, and I've learned to work smarter and not harder over the last couple of years by buying things from suppliers that are already done, like mirepoix, for example. 5-pound bags, half-inch dice, ready to go.
Oh.
Dump it in the pot. The thing that takes the longest is the cooling process. Because once you get a pot of molten lava, I've got these ice sticks that go in it, and it's the longest part. And then the packaging, the labeling.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the other part.
Well, yeah, I guess this needs to cool down a bit to go into the package.
Yeah, you can't
And-
put the lid on too well. It's too warm because then condensation will
Right.
occur, and that sends a message to the health inspector that you didn't follow the
Didn't follow it,
proper
yeah.
cooling steps. So
Well, I don't see
Luckily,
any condensation
no,
here,
good,
Mr.
which is
Inspector.
great.
So, now you said you basically invented all of these to some extent, or
Yeah, mostly. I mean, like I
Elaborate.
say, I've found lots of resources on the internet. I did invent this pork and shrimp wonton myself, and it exploded. So much so that now I have to hire a dim sum company in the city to make my recipe for me, and then I just buy the wontons from them.
wow,
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's amazing.
I see you have some dressing here.
So that's the Frankified version of the Glory Bowl dressing. It's nutritional yeast flakes, apple cider vinegar, gluten-free tamari soy sauce, garlic, tahini, and oil. And you put it on everything. People are pouring it on poached eggs, dipping ribs in it. It's amazing what people have done. You know, I do this one soup every single day. Like I said, if I don't,
You
I
get
should just move away. And the nice part, I mean, not only for me, but for my customers, is that I switch all of the soups except the wonton every single week. So not only do I not get bored of doing this, that there's always something for people to look forward to. And the other interesting part about this whole journey is the vegan and gluten-free elements. Almost 50% of my trade has been vegan and gluten-free. It's a thing. It really is.
yeah, that's a
So
big thing.
it is a
If
big
you're
thing, and
talking
I'm
about-
happy to keep doing it. It's forced me to learn more about it because I don't have any intolerance or food issues. But I've learned a lot from people that do, and it's a terrifying, horrible thing for some people. I'm happy to learn about it and to switch it up, and people keep coming in to wonder what I'm up to this week.
So, so it's not just takeout. People can sit in
Yeah.
here and have a
Yeah,
have a
usually
soup.
what the deal is, if you buy the liter, I'm happy to heat it up for you, and then you just take the rest home. It's pretty much a meal for two in a liter.